organic, unpredictable, unknown, lovely, beautiful, a sense of fulfillment. This is part of the pleasures of life and not the chores of life.
Coming up tonight on this Monday edition of Daily Iowan TV, lockdown in D.C. We've got the latest from the U.S. Capitol building.
And a new visa rule could grant international students a longer stay in the U.S.
Spring sports are in full swing for the Hawkeyes, and we've got all the latest from baseball, softball, and tennis coming up in sports.
Good evening and thanks for tuning in to Daily Iowan TV. I'm Katie Reber.
And I'm Taylor Brooks. Breaking news out of Washington. The phone belonging to a gunman of the San Bernardino shooting has been hacked by the FBI. Officials say the government used a rumored method to hack into the phone to gather information regarding the shooting. This puts the much-followed case of privacy versus security between Apple and the federal government to an end. Apple did not comment on the news right away. Both the U.S. Capitol building and the White House were locked down Monday after reports of gunshots. A man later identified as Larry Russell Dawson was spotted trying to enter the Capitol building visitor center with a gun. Capitol Police arrived on scene, which led to a standoff. One officer was injured and a police shot the suspect. A bystander located nearby also suffered injuries. Dawson is currently undergoing medical treatment and the lockdown on the White House has been lifted. The incident occurred during a congressional recess, so most legislators were back in their districts.
3 men have been arrested for 2 different armed robberies in the Iowa City area. Talon Anderson, Nico Johnson-Williams, and Alexander Regeniter have all been charged with various counts of first-degree robbery and burglary. Police say the men entered 2 different apartments, held victims at gunpoint, and stole multiple items. The men could face up to 25 years in prison as both offenses are felonies.
On Thursday, Daily Iowan TV reporter Cole Johnson was in Des Moines talking to representatives about a bill allowing Iowans to purchase gun suppressors. Cole gives us an update on how these representatives are reacting and what the next step is for legislation of these suppressors.
Iowa gun owners could soon be adding a new attachment to their firearms. They are called suppressors, but are better known as silencers. They are a device that muffles the sound of a gunshot. The bill was originally introduced to the House and the Senate 5 years ago and was not approved by many lawmakers. But after a few changes to the bill, their views followed suit.
Over the last couple of years, those of us that voted for it have come to the conclusion that it can still be done safely and regulated.
But not all representatives are in favor of the suppressor bill.
I'm not interested in liberalizing our laws in any way, and I'm really hopeful that responsible gun owners make an appearance at some point and begin to advocate for some sensible gun laws in our state and country.
The bill was amended last week and then passed through the House and the Senate. It's now in front of Governor Terry Branstad, where he will decide whether or not to legalize firearm suppressors. Reporting from the Iowa Senate Chamber, Cole Johnson, Daily Iowan TV.
Reports are coming in on a dog attack in Iowa City. A woman was seen walking 2 dogs when one of them reportedly bit another person. Iowa City Animal Services are looking for information about the dog's owner and the dog's rabies vaccination. The dog is described as a pit bull and was seen with its owner near the bus stop at Amherst Street and Oberlin Street in the morning of March 26th. Anyone with information about the dog and owner is encouraged to call 319-356-5295.
Turning 21 comes with the privilege of consuming alcohol legally. However, there is still a chance you can be arrested for walking home and be charged with public intoxication. Daily Iowan's Lauren O'Mackle has more.
While the Capitol is dealing with the different pieces of Iowa legislation, there was one that was overlooked but will not be forgotten: the public intoxication law. In the state of Iowa, public intoxication is a criminal act that someone can be arrested for, and simulating acts of intoxication. All states that do touch Iowa do not have the public intoxication law. Iowa City is known for its bar scene, which creates a typical place for these kinds of arrests. UI students have student legal services that are here to help.
Typically when we see public intoxication charges, the student or the person is out on a sidewalk, streets. While you certainly could be publicly intoxicated in a bar, typically people are traveling from one bar to another or traveling home.
In Iowa, from the years 2014 to 2015, 10,662 arrests have been made for public intoxication. Democratic member of the House of Representatives, Mary Wolf, has taken the lead of getting the law repealed.
Since public intoxication, generally we're talking about jail sentences, and that puts a lot of stress on local government, so I thought maybe it would be good if we just eliminate that offense.
As long as the law is not abused, this repeal could be successful.
He is not bothering anyone, and he's not a safety hazard to anyone, committing any other crime, disturbing the peace, whatever. It really isn't.
And what is the harm of walking home after drinking if you aren't disturbing anyone?
If you're trying to make it home and you have some idea, if you can tell the cop you're trying to get home, there shouldn't be a law about it.
Reporting from the Capitol in Des Moines, Iowa, this is Lauren O'Mackle, Daily Iowan TV News.
Anyone who has lived in Iowa for a few years can tell a few stories about flooding, especially if they live along the famed Mississippi River. This year, it looks like the flooding is starting a bit early. The National Weather Service reports the Mississippi has passed the 15-foot flood stage, measuring up to nearly 16 feet in Davenport. On the south side, officials say the flooding will continue most likely until Tuesday, but thankfully, no rivers near Iowa City are expected to flood. That certainly is good news for us here, Taylor. I'm glad we're not expecting any floods.
I sure hope not, but there is a little rain in the forecast, I think, later this week. Sydney Zatz standing by in the weather studio. Sydney, can we expect a little rain this week?
We can expect a little rain, but spring is in the air. Tuesday morning, we'll see clear skies and chilly temperatures about 36 degrees. And throughout the day, the skies will be cloudy with the afternoon temps at 55. Temperature will stay pretty steady throughout the evening. Now Wednesday will be our warmest day of the week with a high 65 and a low 53. But get those umbrellas out because we can expect an 80% chance of rain. Now throughout the weekend we can see a range of partly cloudy and clear skies. Saturday things will be nice and warm with a high 57, but our evenings will be in the low to mid 30s. Our skies will be a lot less cloudy than those in parts of Alaska, where locals are having to contend with ash. The Pavlov volcano erupted Sunday afternoon, launching ash and debris 20,000 feet in the air. And past eruptions, ash has flown to over 49,000 feet. The closest town to the volcano is about 37 miles away. No injuries or fatalities have been reported, so go out and enjoy the sunshine.
A new visa rule is giving some international students the chance to stay in the United States longer after graduation. International students in science, technology, engineering, and math fields will now have up to 3 years after finishing their education to remain in the U.S. This will give them more time to find a job and apply for the highly competitive H-1B visa that grants them the chance to stay in the U.S. longer for a specialty job.
The possibility that you actually have the H-1B visa is about 30%. Very frustrated and very stressful to international students to whom they want to stay here.
This new rule serves as a response to the frustrations of international students trying to secure jobs after graduating and will come as welcome news to some of the University of Iowa's 4,000 plus international students.
The conversation surrounding concussions in football is one that is growing increasingly public. Less than 2 weeks ago, the NFL confirmed the connection between chronic traumatic encephalopathy, a brain disease caused by concussions received while playing football. Now, researchers are working to develop a blood test that can check for concussions. A Florida-based team of scientists say a protein associated with head injuries can be seen in the blood just a week after a concussion occurs. Researchers say their findings are a substantial step forward in treating concussions. Now, Katie, that is obviously great news. Any progress that they can get about concussions is a good one.
Absolutely. And of course, one sport that concussions may happen in is baseball, which a lot of baseball happened here over the weekend.
Yes. Zach Mackey is standing by in the sports studio with all of the updates. Zach.
That's right, guys. Concussions are a huge topic right now across all sports. We're talking those spring sports here in Iowa, and everybody knows that in Iowa City, It's time now for Iowa baseball to head out to the field. They finished up last season with a 41-18 record, a 40-win season. In the past weekend, it was a rough first inning in the third game of the three-game series against Maryland. Unfortunately, it didn't play in the Hawkeyes' favor after losing 4-1. Even though they clinched the series with 2 wins on Friday and Saturday, there are a few things that they're missing from Sunday's game. Taylor Brooks was at Duane Banks Field and has more.
It wasn't a series ending like Iowa wanted it to be, but 2 wins against a pitching powerhouse like Maryland has Iowa looking ahead to see what the rest of the Big Ten season has to offer. It was a pitching jam for Iowa starter Calvin Matthews in the final game of the Maryland series, something that made Iowa fall behind 3-0 in the first inning.
Fell behind early with Calvin not having a great start, and some ground balls found holes on him as well, and we're playing from behind.
A tiny spark came in the bottom of the third inning when Iowa's left fielder Eric Skank-Joblinski slammed a home run to put Iowa on the board.
Looking for a fastball, and first one was fastball away, and then I know to the couple lefties ahead of me, they said that he was the one he threw a fastball right on the middle, so I was just looking for a fastball that I could, I guess, really get a hold of.
But Maryland's Brian Schaefer pitched lights out after that home run, marking his second complete game of his career.
I tip my hat to him. I think it was more how good he was than us having, a terrible day or something like that.
Despite not putting up runs and letting that first inning tarnish Iowa, the weekend had some perks, especially from relief pitcher Ryan Erickson.
His last 2 times out, he's looked like the Ryan Erickson that we expected this season. He's much more in control, and I thought that was a huge positive for moving forward in the season.
It was big time just because he gave us a chance throughout the game. He held them scoreless, and other than that first inning, they didn't really do much. So, I mean, it was nice to see him come in and have a good outing and at least just give us a chance to come back.
Reporting inside Duane Banks Field, Taylor Brooks, Daily Iowan TV Sports.
The Hawks are back at Duane Banks Field on Wednesday for a non-conference matchup against Northern Illinois before heading to Minnesota for Big Ten play this upcoming weekend. Now, it's not just the baseball team that's been hit in the field. The Iowa women's softball team is sliding into the busy part of their season as well. This past Sunday was a bit rough for the team as they fell to the Indiana Hoosiers. Though the first inning left both teams scoreless, Iowa came out hot in the second, producing 3 runs, one of which was a big home run hit by junior Caitlin Malarkey. Indiana came back and took the lead by the 4th inning, leaving it to freshman Callery Kilman home run to tie it up. In the top of the 5th, from there, Indiana took the lead and ran with it, ending the matchup with a final score of 10-5, Hoosiers on top. Now, the loss puts the Hawkeyes at 8-19 on the season and 0-3 in conference play. The ladies hit the field again on Friday, April 1st, to open their home slate against Purdue. Taking things to the court, it was the Iowa men's tennis first Big Ten victory so far for the season on Easter Sunday. But before the singles matchup could take place, Iowa's doubles had to step up. And that's exactly what they did. 2 sets of Iowa doubles in Jack Jacoby and Lefteris Thedor. And Dominique Patrick alongside Josh Silverstein sealed the doubles matchup points for Iowa after a 6-3 decision from Jacoby and Theodore. It was up to Patrick and Silverstein. The two were locked and loaded after getting a few lucky shots, but it was the final game of that matchup that Iowa dominated to get the 7-5 decision. Jake Jacoby, Jonas Larson, and Robin Hinden all won their singles matchups to give Iowa the outright win of the whole matchup. And Iowa is on the road next weekend in Ohio for a Dayton and Ohio State matchup. Then it's off to Penn State on that same weekend. That's all we got here in sports. Taylor and Katie, let's send it back to you.
Well, that will do it for myself and Taylor on this Monday edition of Daily Iowan TV.
Be sure to check out our website, dailyiowan.com, for all of the latest news. For Daily Iowan TV, I'm Taylor Brooks.
And I'm Katie Reaver. Have a good night.